going.
And welcome back to WTL, everybody. I'm your host, Andy Klassen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
What's going on? We're back.
Yeah. And you know we're going to be doing some more pounding here this week.
No doubt about it.
UFC Fight Night.
It's our favorite. We got to talk UFC.
We always hop into the octagon. I don't care what others are betting on, but we're betting on it.
We're betting on UFC.
And dude, you've been killing it.
No doubt.
Whether it's boxing or UFC, you
I
pick
love
some winners.
combat sports.
It's what I do.
I don't fight, but I like to watch people fight, and I like to bet on it as well.
And we are bringing the nation here to Nebraska. The road to Omaha has begun.
Yes, sir.
NCAA baseball, the regionals have been set. Had so many, teams kind of prop up and win.
Yep.
A lot of upsets.
Mm-hmm.
So that has set the table for an intriguing bracket here.
Yeah.
The final 64 games beginning this week in regional play.
Yeah, this Friday is going to be, one of those days at the office where all those regionals are going on at the same time. I hope my boss isn't listening.
Yeah.
But, all those regionals going on at the same time, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's so fun when there's so many games that you can pick from and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those times where, you know what, there's enough playing where you can kind of bet with your heart. You don't have to stick with your head and just have some fun with it.
Exactly, and you don't have to throw a lot of money on it, but you can, with all these games, you can really make some really fun parlays going forward. If there's, 32 games in a day, you can pick. You can usually pick 4 winners out of that and be pretty good with it.
And like we're always saying, stay within your budget, stay within your bankroll, and have fun with it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And there's so many, like we're talking about those upsets.
Yeah.
And there's so many, we'll call them undercards.
Yeah.
That are still alive, that are putting, I feel like, a favorable situation. We'll dive into that later on.
Of course.
But there's some picks to be made here.
No doubt about it. We love it.
Let's start with Fight Night here
Yes, sir.
at UFC, back in Las Vegas, right?
Yep, at the Apex in Las Vegas, June 4th, this weekend. And got a couple really, really good fights here, Andy. We got Movsar Evloev and Dan Ige to do the co-main event here. And Evloev is 15-0.
And Evloev, he's climbing the ranks. He's ranked. He's the 13th contender in the world here from Russia.
Yeah, Mother Russia.
Mother Russia. Obviously, his last couple of fights were a win since he's 15-0.
Yeah. The
145-pounder. Tough to bet against this guy.
Yeah.
However, he's going against 50K. Dan Ige, the American.
And Dan Ige is still, 50K. You don't get that name without it, with some story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's 15-5 too, Andy. So these guys have won the same amount of fights in the UFC, but Evloev has not lost yet. The one thing that really goes into this fight is that if Ige has or 50K has any chance of winning this fight, he has to knock him out. Because Evloev, the only thing that he's done in the UFC so far is won by decision.
Yeah, no knockdowns.
So he's a really good wrestler. He's really good at all that, but he still, really doesn't get submissions or anything like that. He kind of just gets you in that. He gets you in that, grappling phase, and you can't get out of it. So if Danny can, figure out a way to, mix it up with him and stay on his feet a little bit, he could swing this fight, in his direction and make, Evloev kind of throw shots with him.
And I saw some of the shows like that where that's what they were hitting on. It was like, Inge's got to stay on his feet.
Yeah.
He cannot get into that grappling, wrestling mode with Evloev. Otherwise, he's just going to drag it out and probably win by decision.
Exactly. And that's why you're seeing this line at a minus 400 for Evloev is because everybody thinks it's just going to be that slow fight. He's going to get on top of him, which I think
that's a tail of the tape.
I think the line is honestly fair. I don't mind using that minus 400 in like a parlay leg or something like that. But the easiest way to get a better price on him is to take Evloev by decision, which will, probably be at minus 150, or you might be able to get it all the way down to minus 125, which is going to be a really good piece for anybody, or just a straight bet, because that's what he does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just looking at the measurables, and it's kind of surprising when you just first glance at it. You're 15-0. Yeah. And your average knockdown per 15 minutes is 0. How? I've never heard of a UFC.
Yeah, no, he's a strange fighter, but like you said, he's climbing the rankings, and it's maybe it's not that exciting, but it's exciting to win.
You know what else is ridiculous? His average fight time is 15 minutes.
All 3 rounds, all 3 times. 5-minute rounds for 3 times.
I mean, you'd think you'd at least get a submission in there or some kind of a knockout.
He just
that would skew that and at least bring it down to 14.5 or no 15.
Takes you down.
This is average fight time.
Takes you down. Sits on you. Wastes the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Takes his trophy home.
Yeah. Not a lot of strikes per minute. Not a lot of strikes absorbed per minute either. So, definitely a different style of fighter than what we're used to seeing as far as the headliners.
Exactly, and he probably hasn't fought anybody like 50K yet. Just think about that, people. With that plus 310 for Danny 50K, that's really good value. It's not like he hasn't won fights before, and he has the punching power to really end this, or... Right. If it's going back and forth, he can gain momentum really quick with a couple of those big shots.
Yeah, I'm just going up and down the tail of the tape here and grappling. Evloev is averaging 4 per 15 minutes, and Ige is like 1.3.
Exactly. No, he doesn't do that.
Totally different styles here, and it's who's going to be able to enforce their will on the other.
Yep.
Is Evloev going to be able to shoot it and get in there, get on the those legs and take Ige down, or not? And that's really where your bets got to come from. Who do you believe in most, Ige or climbing the ranks, this Russian?
Yeah. No, obviously I like Ige's style better. You know me, I like the heavy hitters and all that kind of stuff. But I think the most likely outcome, which I will be throwing money on, is Evloev to win this by decision. It's going to be a 3-round fight again. Right. It's going to be another 15-minute fight. So I'm taking Evloev probably at that minus 150 to win by decision.
Okay, so that's the second card of the night. Let's get to the main event.
Yep, the big
Drago versus Biggie Boy. These are some good nicknames.
Yeah, very good nicknames. Alexander Volkov, which is Ivan Drago II, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik, which is Biggie Boy. Again,
he's a big dude.
Our main event here is matchup this weekend is a classic style clash again.
Yeah, these are heavyweights, man.
One excels at winning rounds, and one largely depends on winning by knockout. And you can probably figure out who. Rozenstruik is a striker.
Yeah, it's
he's
in his
a big
name.
boy. I love comparing this guy to Derek Lewis. He is literally the epitome of him. They win by knockout. They don't care about anything else, and they are going to knock your frickin' block off.
Rozenstruik, Biggie Boy, he wins 92% of his fights by knockout.
Yes.
And he's 12-3.
He's 12-3. And he's at plus money right now, Andy. He's at plus money.
Okay.
Alexander Volkov, though, is one of the best kickboxers in the heavyweight division. He's also one of the most consistent round winners, which, if you get a matchup that's kind of a standstill, that really helps you out, you win those first couple rounds or you win the third round. In a 5-round fight, it usually goes to who won this round, who won this one. So Alexander, for his, much knockout power that he doesn't possess, he wins rounds, and it really shows on the scorecard at the end of the night.
And Volkov, he's an interesting guy because he's 6'7".
Yeah.
He's very tall.
Exactly.
253. He's 11 pounds heavier than Rozenstruik. But if you just look at a side-by-side picture, you don't think that.
No, you don't.
It's that 6'7" frame that he's filling out. And you're thinking, oh boy, Rozenstruik is gonna demolish this dude.
Exactly.
But you bring the kickboxing into play. You bring the octagon presence, if you will. He can move around a little bit, and that's going to lead Rozenstruik to kind of chase him around a little bit.
Yeah.
And you make one wrong step with those guys that can get their
kicked
feet
in
up
the
there.
face.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what are you leaning on this one?
No,
I like this. Once again, we have a
clash.
Huge contrast here.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm probably going to go on the side of the round winner. That's clearly Volkov. Like you said, he's 5 inches taller. At least he's 5 inches taller and a couple inches over him on reach. So that's gonna with the reach with Rozenstruik, he really needs that. He really needs that because
he does. He's got to get in. He's got to get in.
And he will get in the fight that he wants to be in. That Volkov doesn't usually get himself in bad situations, you know what I mean? Because he can go down to the ground with you. He is that much taller than everybody, and he has that reach on everybody. So he tries to just keep you at where you're at until he wants to take you down or until he wants to kick you in the face. So I am going with Volkov here. It's really pretty good odds here at a minus 160. So I really like it. I really like it for one parlay piece, Andy, at that at minus 160, and I'd probably parlay it with the Evloev winning by decision and really jack that up.
And I was going to say that's where you can really create some value, really help your odds out as far as if you're going to put some wager out there this is a good way to compile that.
Yep.
That type of money, that type of bet. And this is pretty evenly matched. I mean, obviously we have a contrast here, but this is the number 7 contender versus the number 8 contender.
Yeah.
And this is how UFC does it. They find these matchups, and it's so much fun, and you're like, wow, I don't know what's going to happen on this one. I mean, we have some pretty good hardcore stats here we kind of know what to expect.
Of course.
But you don't know how the chips are going to fall.
No, you don't. And we talk about this every week about here's a guy that's been here all this time, and here's a rising star in the company. So Volkov, I don't even think we talk about this. He's 34-10. He's fought 44 times in the UFC.
Yeah.
And Rozenstruik is only 12-3, so only 15 fights, but winning a majority of them, and a majority of them by knockout. So if Volkov loses, it will likely come in the form of an early knockout, which is, in the heavyweight division, never an outcome that I'll dismiss, but you can actually get Volkov at a -150 and stuff right there. I just really like the value with that play.
Yeah.
Because I think a majority of the rounds he will win, and I think this is probably going to go the full.
Well, and that's
5 rounds.
This is ridiculous too. So I mean, with his 34-10, 44 fights. His average fight time is 14 minutes, 26 seconds.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about previously,
Yep.
he strings these fights out, and that is not what Rozenstruik wants to do.
No.
And he might put himself in harm's way if he tries
to do that.
Yeah, if he tries to force the issue, and he knows that.
Yeah.
He knows that you better not misstep.
Exactly.
If you're going to get in there and try and land a big right or an uppercut left or whatever, look out because the defense is coming.
Exactly. And one thing, Andy, that I do want to throw in there, if you guys are on Biggie Boy, if you think Rozenstruik has an advantage here, you think he's younger, you think he's more powerful, which he probably is, all those things, I wouldn't be playing Rozenstruik at his current plus 130 money line. I would look to bet him at the plus 180 by TKO because if he wins, it's going to be by this. He is not just going to win. He's going to win by knockout if he wins.
He's won 0% of his fights by submission, 92% by KO.
Exactly, and he doesn't win decisions either because he doesn't win rounds. He wins punches. He wins one punch, you're dead.
That's what I'm after.
That's what you're after. So if you can find this if you're behind him and you can see this at plus 180, even on Fight Night getting closer to 200, plus 200, grab it if you're behind him because you're going to get good value out of it.
I like that plus money. I like the plus money.
Exactly, but I just think that Drago is the better fighter, the more experienced fighter, and he wins rounds.
Tough to argue with that. There you have it, folks.
Is
that a lock?
That's probably my lock of the. That's my lock of the week. Is definitely.
I had to pull that one out.
I know. Drago is my lock of the week.
All right, folks. Quick reminder: this episode brought to you by Nebraska Brewing Company. First class in every glass.
Yes, sir.
A bit of a tongue twister there.
Yeah, it is.
But their beer
but it's true.
Yeah, it is very, very true. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk college baseball. The season is here.
Yes, sir. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
And welcome back to WTL, everybody. I'm your host, Andy Klassen, joined by
JaBron.
Oh, boy. All right, so we got through our UFC.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to finish strong here. We always do. NCAA baseball. The road to Omaha has begun.
Yes, sir. America's pastime. This is probably our favorite sport, Andy, if we're talking correctly. Just, from our dad taking us to College World Series every year down in Omaha.
Baseball camps and stuff.
Yep, all that stuff. So this begins June 3rd at 16 regional sites across the country with winners heading to the Super Regionals, the next round.
Yep.
And, that's what will determine the College World Series at Charles Schwab Field here in Omaha.
All right, and you kind of got your eye on about 4 or 5 regionals that we kind of want to run through here.
I got 5 regionals that, are kind of, big, heavy fan hitters that I think that mostly the guy that's headlining this regional is going to come out of at least the regional, maybe not the super regional.
You might sound a little bit like a chalk donkey early on here.
No doubt.
All right, well, let's dive into the first one you're looking at.
Okay, I'm definitely looking at the Texas Longhorns. It shouldn't be a surprise that the preseason number 1 team in the nation, it will be hosting a regional in Austin. The Longhorn season wasn't always smooth sailing. They lost a couple guys to injuries, but make no mistake, the Texas is one of the most well-rounded teams.
They are.
They finished third in batting average, sixth in home runs, and they got a couple really, really good pitchers. Yeah. It's definitely one of the best teams in the nation, and I can see why.
Yeah, well, they got the bats, and like you said, the home run hitters to where they're always in the game.
Yep.
Even if their pitching slips up and the team can get into the bullpen, or you can face that third or fourth starter, like you're going to see in the tournament, Texas still has the firepower to overcome that.
I mean, you always see this in College World Series. You go and catch a couple games. It seems like it's either the team that has the most pitchers or enough pitchers.
Yeah.
Or enough
gritty
pitchers. Gritty pitchers that can really work well together. And then if your bats are going as well, that's what's going on. Texas has preserved and still has enough weapons to compete for this national title. So I see them coming out of this regional, especially against Louisiana Tech, Dallas Baptist, and Air Force. Nothing against these teams, but at Texas at a minus 155 to come out of this regional, I really think it's really good value, and I think it's more than likely going to happen.
Yeah, I'd much rather bet the Longhorns,
Yeah.
horns down, but horns up in this case
Yeah.
at that minus 155 than like an Air Force on a flyer at plus 1200.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm giving it away at that point. I like Dallas Baptist, I really do.
Yeah.
But just come on, you're going up against Longhorns in a favorable position. Also, Longhorns just kind of tripped up. They didn't even win the Big 12 championship, so they got a little bit
They're
of a
on
chip.
notice.
Yeah, they got a chip on the shoulder. They know they can be beat. That might be a good thing. We've seen that before.
Yep.
And they're putting like we talked about, a favorable regional here.
Well, I'm just saying these teams that are coming into Austin are going to have some crowds on their hand too. Mm-hmm. Those guys. Yeah. Those people down in Texas are going to get behind their boys, and I don't know how well Dallas Baptist, Louisiana Tech, and Air Force travel during baseball season.
Hey, and we know firsthand that Texas fans travel to Omaha.
Yeah, they'll come to Nebraska to hammer us.
Yes, and it's fun. It's a good crowd.
It's always fun.
They can give it to you, but they can.
Well, it's Texas. Yeah. Half the people hate them, half the people love them. They're the New York Yankees.
Yeah, and I actually appreciate that about the Longhorns. I hate the Longhorns, don't get me wrong.
No doubt about it.
But their fan base owns it. Mm-hmm. They know who they are. They know what they are. And I tip my cap to that. I really do. So
no doubt about it.
And they travel well, so you got to respect that. And I'll tell you what, every single sports bar owner in Omaha loves the Longhorns.
No doubt about it.
In June, no doubt.
Yep. I'm going to give you another one that the Omaha people love to kind of hate or, love to see there at least is North Carolina.
Yeah.
North Carolina's regional. They're in Chapel Hill. They're the probably hottest team in college baseball right now, Andy, winning 15 of their last 17 games, including the ACC championship.
Yeah.
North Carolina will be looking to win its first national championship despite 11 trips to Omaha.
They had a run just a couple of years ago where they're here every year. Like every T-shirt I bought had the Tar Heels on.
No doubt about it. So you know that they're hungry. You know that they're the hottest team in baseball right now. They do got a couple bigger names in their regional with Georgia, VCU, and Hofstra.
Yeah,
you know that those are all names that you always hear in the round of 64 at least. So,
but here's something.
Yeah.
North Carolina's going in one direction, like you're saying.
Exactly.
Winning 15 in the last 17.
Yep.
Georgia's they got a great RPI. They have some quality wins, obviously, from the SEC, but they kind of went the other way. They fizzled out a little bit at the end of the year, and that's what this tournament's about: is who's hot, whose pitching's on point, whose bats are rolling, and you can say all those things with North Carolina. I don't know if you can say the same for the other teams in this regional.
Exactly. No, you hit the nail on the head there, Andy. And the other thing with North Carolina is their bullpen has been so solid, shutting down Florida State in the regular season, which is another team in in contention, and NC State in the ACC championship. Like we said, this is the hottest team in baseball heading into postseason, and
the tournament's so much fun. All these conference champions.
Accordingly, bet accordingly. North Carolina is just so good odds right now. They're at a minus 115. I think they're the hottest team in baseball. Yeah. I think that they're going to walk through all these guys, and minus 115.
Hey, man.
Easy money.
Odds-wise, that's better than betting Texas at minus
No doubt about it.
So I like that one a lot. All right, now where are we moving to?
Let's move to Big Ten country. Well, it's kind of Big Ten country.
I'm
talking College Park.
Okay.
Maryland Terrapins, winners of the Big Ten championship. They're one of these few that are hosting a regional, and they are not picked to win the regional.
Yeah. So, that's interesting in itself. You know I love the plus money, but they are going up against a couple powers here out of the ACC. Wake Forest,
Yeah.
They're the favorite at minus 105. It's not a strong.
It's not a strong 105, but yeah.
But yeah.
No, and in Maryland being an old ACC foe with Wake Forest, I kind of think that adds some intrigue to this one.
Yeah.
I do think Maryland is a very, very good team, but just the way that they played at home, keep an eye on the total for the Maryland Regional, because the Terrapins have scored a bulk of their runs this season on the road, carrying one of the lowest park factor numbers at Shipley Field there in College Park. So they don't play a lot at home, but I did check on Facebook because our family out in Maryland.
Yeah, we got a lot of family.
We got a lot of family out there, and they're sharing that they have already sold out the stadium there at Shipley Field. So I do think that the Terrapins are going to have some really good fans behind them, but I do not see them coming out of this. I'm sad to say. I do like Wake Forest.
You like Wake Forest?
I like Wake Forest to win this regional. Probably not go much further than that, but I do think they'll win this. I just don't think Maryland has what it takes to get over the hump.
And we kind of had this. I feel like Maryland and Nebraska on this front and this front alone kind of has the same sentiment towards the Big Ten, thinking, man, we were rolling with ACC baseball.
Yeah.
And that's a high-level, high-octane competitive league. We were the same in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Had some just terrific teams with Van Horn, who went on to Arkansas's alma mater, and some great teams with Mike Anderson as well.
No doubt.
And then we moved to the Big Ten. It's like, we didn't dominate. Yeah. But you also missed just the excitement around it. Like when Texas and Nebraska played in baseball,
no doubt,
it drew a crowd. It grew national interest. Same with like a Texas Tech or an Oklahoma. It's just not there in Big Ten baseball.
Exactly.
I like another ACC former team, UConn. I like Connecticut here.
Heck yeah.
And the odds are freaking awesome. Plus 400 right now.
Okay.
450 in some books just to get out of their regional.
Yeah.
So you don't need to look further than that. Just win the regional.
Just win the regional.
And I feel like the Big Ten might have been weaker, if you can say that.
Exactly.
In years past, and I know Maryland won it, and deservedly so. But okay, we're already saying, we don't put a lot of stock in the Terrapins here.
Exactly.
And I mean, I don't hate your pick with Wake Forest.
Yeah.
I just like what UConn's doing here. They dominated the Big East.
Yeah.
46 wins on the season.
Wow.
And a team batting average of over 300.
Yeah.
They also average 8 runs a game. So I like how UConn is playing. I like how they're playing at the end of the season. I just feel like this is also, their fan base can travel.
Yeah.
It's not that far away.
Yep.
They can get there. I feel like UConn's a sneaky pick in this
position. Well, you just like it because this regional is wide open. Mm-hmm. It is wide open. Maryland, coming off exiting the tournament with 2 consecutive losses against Michigan and Indiana. Plus, Maryland is known as just a power-hitting team.
Yeah.
And if they can't get those bats going, it might get in trouble for them. And, Wake Forest, very good team, but they get put up on the pedestal for being an ACC baseball team. So
exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly what we're talking about. So
and the Big East doesn't have that cachet.
Exactly. So I do like the sneaky pick of UConn. I'm still gonna, go with the Deacons there, but I get what you're saying.
That is straight up. You know how I don't get out of hand with my bets.
You're right.
I never go too far one way or the other. I just love that plus 450.
Yeah.
Where Connecticut's at, how they're playing, and obviously even the odds makers aren't that high on Wake Forest right now.
No. No.
Or Maryland. So I feel
like
okay, if I'm looking at a wide open regional, who's had the most consistent team.
Yeah.
Who has some favorable matchups? I feel like that's here with UConn.
For sure.
So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the Huskies.
There you go. Let's turn our attention to the biggest fan base in college baseball. I'm talking about the LSU Tigers. Traveling to Hattiesburg Regional with the Southern Miss Golden Eagles as the host site. Mm-hmm. Nobody travels like the Tigers.
No, and we can attest to that.
And we can. A
lot of purple and gold in Omaha.
2 weeks full of it. 2 weeks full of it. Obviously, Southern Miss is not the favorite to win this regional. LSU sitting there at a minus 125.
Southern Miss, they're not huge dogs, though.
No.
Plus 120, they're not huge dogs
They're not huge dogs.
Okay, so they're giving them the credit. They're giving them their due.
Yep.
But, you see a lot of people out there straight up betting futures for LSU to take the whole thing down.
No doubt.
And with their history, how they've been rolling through the SEC, that you can listen to that argument.
You can listen to it, and it's not out of line. But like we said, a lot of those bettings are overinflated because of how much LSU people love baseball. So it's hard to look at that number and not be a little bit skewed because you know that everybody that's traveling to Omaha from LSU is betting them to win, because why wouldn't you?
And now you can. It's legal in
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Now you can. Yeah, come on down. But no, like you said, Andy, I really do like this. I do like the Southern Miss plus 120. They're hosting the regional.
They are.
They're hosting the regional. Southern Miss is built on a pitching staff which ranks second only to Tennessee, which is the overall favorite to win the whole thing.
They've been able to do.
It finished the season with the second best staff in ERA and had the best team strikeouts to walk ratio in the entire nation. So if these guys get on a roll and just shut down LSU, I think they roll through this regional with ease. If they can do that, which is going to be a tall task.
Ooh, you're saying just get by LSU.
Just get by LSU. Overall, Southern Miss is a very deserving program, but I have doubts about the title hopes. But
you like them out of this regional, though?
I like them out of this regional.
Okay, well, I mean, other than it's just the LSU Tigers, man, and they just, it's like they have a road just set up for them
no doubt.
to Omaha every year. Not every year,
but
still.
I would love to see them there. I just don't think that it's this year for them.
Okay, so you like the home dogs in this one, taking that plus money.
I like the plus money.
I'm gonna put this one on the shelf.
Yeah. Oh, shut up! You can tell everybody you're taking LSU.
Yeah, all
right.
You
can sound smart next week.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm a bar owner, for sure.
I want them. Yeah, give me the Tigers.
All right, so now we're heading off to Gainesville, right?
Yep. Get the swamp chop ready.
I think we might butt heads on this one too.
Yeah, I like Florida. Florida has been my other baseball team my whole entire life, besides the Huskers. Well, like I said, when Dad used to take us to College World Series, he'd always give me a Florida Gators hat, a Florida Gators jersey, all that stuff. So I've been rocking with Florida since I was a little kid. And if they're favored in a regional in Gainesville, I'm taking them. And another thing that I really don't like about this regional, Andy, the Sooners, because I hate the Sooners.
This way, you're wrong, Mox.
Yep,
you're wrong.
You're wrong.
I'm taking Oklahoma. I love the plus 210. They just knocked off Texas in the Big 12 tournament, won the tournament, and this is a team that had a lot of preseason hype, like Nebraska. And at the beginning, they kind of floundered around. Their bats were cold, pitching wasn't on point. But the way they finished the season on this hot streak, their bats have come to life. They are hot, and they just flex that pitching staff, especially against Texas. I think they threw their fourth or fifth arm on that championship game.
They did.
And dominated. So, I mean, and isn't that what it takes to win these regionals, to continue? Deep pitching staffs, and that's what Oklahoma has. And now their bats have finally come to life. I feel like they're riding this wave, and they can roll over the Gators just fine.
We'll see.
I mean, SEC, Big 12 baseball, I love this matchup.
Yeah, no, it's a great matchup. And just to, counterattack you there, Florida's, one of those teams that benefited greatly from the conference tournament. The Gators made a run.
They made the championship.
They made a run to the SEC championship before losing to Tennessee.
They made Tennessee sweat, too.
Number 1 Tennessee, but they raised their RPI by 10 points in the process of getting to that championship game.
SEC.
What's gotten Gators to this point and what could propel them even further is the amount of pop they got through their lineup. And don't sleep on the Gators. They may have got hot at the right time. And it's when they win this regional, Andy, I'm going to be picking them to win, because you can't beat a good team twice. And Tennessee, watch your back.
Okay, well, Florida's the favorite here. They're minus 120.
Yep.
Okay, Oklahoma's at plus 210. Then you got Liberty at plus 300. Central Michigan rounding it out at plus 800. I like the dog here, the 2 seed in this regional as far as that goes with Oklahoma, and that's also fun where we have 2 really hot teams from 2 different baseball conferences in this matchup here. Florida versus Oklahoma. I'm going Boomer Sooner. And just watching them knock off Texas in that fashion, really showing you how deep their pitching staff was. That's kind of where I'm hanging my hat right here. So I'm going Boomer Sooner plus 210.
Okay. I don't like that one, obviously, but it's going to be one of the best matchups of the entire weekend because of that.
It's going to be fun.
SEC, Big 12 baseball, rivalry there. So
I'm not calling you crazy for picking Florida. Okay?
Of course not. You can't. You can call me crazy for a lot of stuff, but not for that one. Andy, after talking about these 5 regionals, can you kind of navigate us through a couple of the other regionals where you see some good value and maybe an underdog or two, and kind of where can I play some of that fluff money at?
I talked about UConn earlier.
Yeah.
I really like them coming out of College Park. I'm not scared of those teams.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about Notre Dame to win Statesboro Regional. They're at plus 145. And they're having a really nice run right now. Their team has a batting average of nearly 300, 298. Yep. They average about 8 runs a game as well. They just got to get by Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is always, last decade or so, a pretty good pick, right?
No doubt. No doubt about it.
But they haven't burned through the Big 12 like in years past.
Yep.
They got their blemishes as well. So I think Notre Dame is a place there where you're looking for value coming out of the regional. That's a good place to look.
No doubt about it. And everybody's plus money in that regional, Andy, because of that point. But it's still a very good value bet at plus 120. So I really like that one. This is the one you might call me crazy for, Andy, because I'm about to get people pissed at me. Maybe not pissed at me, but I really like Vanderbilt. They're one of the best teams in baseball, year in, year out. Omaha. They've won some championships. The only problem is they're in Oregon State's regional.
Oh man, they got to travel all the way across the nation.
Yep.
I think that's a real thing.
And the Beavers are, the number 2 rated team in the entire NCAA right now. But I just, when I'm looking through these, Andy, I'm looking for pedigree. I'm looking for coaching. I'm looking for a team that's been there before that can upset one of these teams. And I really think that Vanderbilt at a plus 180 going out to Oregon is a very good spot to throw some money at, because they just have that pedigree of being one of the best teams in baseball.
And that plus 180, that must just be the regional bet.
Regional.
Okay. All right. That's not a bad. I don't feel like it's ever bad money throwing it on an SEC team. I'll give the conference their due. Okay. And Vanderbilt, I don't like the travel. However, I mean, stranger things have happened, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned your reasons why here. How about this? I mean, if you want to get out on a branch a little bit, I'm going to piggyback on a lot of things you said earlier.
Yeah.
This is a future bet. North Carolina, the Tar Heels taking it all down at plus 3,500.
It's one of the best. It's one of the best bets that you can make right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking to anybody. This is literally one of the best bets that you can take right now.
It is.
And a lot of stuff has to happen for you to win the College World Series.
Right.
But this is the hottest team. 15 out of last 17 games, taking down the ACC tournament, which we're just saying is one of the best in college baseball, if not the best.
They're the number 3 team in the nation according to RPI, but they're getting these type of odds.
Exactly.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And this is a spot here where if I'm going to get a little frisky getting into the College World Series, here's a great spot to do so. North Carolina plus 3,500, unbelievable.
Yeah, nope. I think that is a very good. I think that's a very good bet, Andy. One of the other ones for just a regional that I kind of want to backtrack to is sitting there is Arkansas at plus 120.
Arkansas.
They're traveling to Stillwater, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
And they are. I just can't pick Arkansas to lose. I don't know why.
Van
Horn probably.
But once again, it's SEC, it's Big 12, and Nebraska used to be a part of that. Now it's a moot point.
Yeah.
We used to be there.
The whole thing is Oklahoma State's kind of left a little bad taste in my mouth getting swept by Texas. Texas Tech. I know that they're an elite defensive team. I just like the way that Arkansas plays baseball. Again, I'm looking for pedigree. I'm looking for all this other things, and I don't think Oklahoma State has it to make it out of that regional against Arkansas, and Arkansas sitting there at a plus 120 to make it out of that regional. I just think it's really good value and a really good play there.
All right, I'm going to throw one at you. One more here, just completely out of left field. See what you think. You can tear me apart for this one. But once again, it's out of that regional that we feel is wide open. Texas State.
Right? The word's Texas in it, right?
Yeah. We know they're... I mean, I don't know. Why not? I mean, I've seen a lot of sharps kind of talk about Texas State. And anyone that wants to talk about Stanford, they always start their conversation with, if if they can get by Texas State.
If they can beat Texas State, they're going to win it.
Well, why not go the other way at plus 340 just to get out of the region?
So good. That's so good a value. And I've seen some books, Andy, where this is getting to plus 375, plus 400.
Wow.
So if why don't you?
Yeah.
Why don't you just sprinkle a little bit on there? Put a $10 bet on it. Put a $25 bet on it. Texas State, obviously they're not.
They're 45-12, and like we're saying, they're not in the SEC. They're not in the Big 12. They're not an ACC team, but they've still played a lot of really good teams.
Exactly, and you know that Stanford's going to walk on that baseball diamond thinking that these are all fluff teams, like any baseball team would that is not playing in a Big 12, an ACC, or an SEC school. They just think that these guys are pushovers, and I really like it. If you can get this upwards of plus 400, jump on it.
Dive into the numbers, though. Dive into their layout. They're not in the Big 12 or the SEC, but here we go. They split a 2-game series with Texas.
Yeah.
They took 2 out of 3 from Arizona, okay? And they swept Ohio State. Not that Ohio State's a perennial powerhouse, but they've had some pretty good teams recently coming out of the Big 10, and Texas State freaking swept them.
Well, you just told me that they split with Texas, right?
Yeah.
The third best odds to win the whole tournament. So I think that's...
So it's not out of line to think they can get by Stanford.
Right.
Okay.
And then Stanford's right there as well, obviously, as one of the top favorites. But how couldn't you with the record that they have and all that? But they haven't showed me even with the the way that these lines are set here, that Stanford hasn't shown in the regional sense as much as that a lot of other teams have.
Oh man, Stanford's a tough one because they're on a 16-game winning streak.
Of course.
Okay. But yeah, like no one's talking about them. And they're just not getting the love right now. And even here, I'm throwing a little shade talking about Texas State.
Yeah, exactly. But, you have Tennessee in their regional. They are minus 1,200 to win their regional. That's why we didn't talk about it, folks, is there's no value. There's no value there unless you were going to go with a
phenomenal season. Exactly. Love what they've done.
But there's no value in taking them minus 1,200. But when you go to the second place team and the whole entire thing, or third or fourth or whatever Stanford is, they're only at a minus 280. So
that shows you.
That's not that shows you that's if you're a Stanford guy, obviously that's good value and you can throw some money on that. But
I'm looking at
an upset here.
Yeah, and no one would be surprised from that upset either, and that's also why their futures is one of the better odds right now. Stanford at plus 1,200 to take it all down because. A lot of folks don't even have them getting out of their own regional.
Exactly.
And that's just the way it is.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Right. Anything else, JaBron?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk. You got me in the mind of thinking about taking down the whole tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
And right now the SEC champion, Tennessee Volunteers, are at a favorite plus 250 on DraftKings Sportsbook. That's where we're kind of looking. The Vols are 53-7, best team in the nation.
Unbelievable what they've done, wire to wire.
Just smoking everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that is rated well, that plus 250. I think it's a good bet. But where I'm really looking at value here, Andy, is I really like that Tar Heel bet. I really like that Tar Heel bet at plus 3,500.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, a lot of money's going on that one. A lot of money's going on that one. But I'm going even further down the list. I've already gave them the props. Florida at plus 4,000. Plus 4,000.
No.
This is one of the hottest teams in baseball. Like I said, they had the Volunteers sweating. I know that they can beat them. I know that they can beat anybody on this list. Will they? I don't know. But that's plus 400 value. I'm gonna throw some money on that as well.
Plus 4,000 if we're talking futures.
Yep.
So yeah, that's not a bad bet, especially if we're talking about North Carolina. I mean, that's what futures are all about. A lot of fun. Then you kind of got a dark horse to root for.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, all right. So where else can folks get a hold of WTL or follow along, get our weekly picks?
Obviously, we're always putting stuff on YouTube. We got TikTok. We got Twitter. Every day we're putting out picks, and we're cashing in. So if you guys want to cash in with us, definitely follow us on all those platforms. Like I said, we got all of our videos up on YouTube. Every pod is going to be on YouTube now. And we do have the really nice sounding voice, but we're pretty guys too.
Yeah. So. And we're starting to do a little bit. We're dabbling in YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, so no doubt.
And obviously we're doing the full feature length on YouTube as well. So big thanks to this week's sponsor, Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass.
No doubt about it.
All right, folks. My name is Andy Klassen, joined by JaBron, the Parlay Pounder.
Yeah.
This was WTL. Thanks for listening.